before we go further, I'd like to address Team USA basketball coaches Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr, or as I like to call them, the woke brothers. They're the leadership of the weakest international basketball team America has assembled since the advent of the Dream Team in 1992. If not for the Boston Celtics making their entire roster available, we might have been reduced to sending G League players to China. So many players said thanks but no thanks that NBA Commissioner Adam Silver suggested privately the league remove four-time gold medalist Carmelo Anthony from Colin Kaepernick quarantine. It's the secret place where NBA teams stash players with enough talent to play in the league, but who are deemed unworthy of the headache. In the NFL, the media calls it being blackballed. In the NBA, it's called business as usual or standard operating procedure. But I digress. I want to talk about why the NBA had to issue 50 invitations to find 15 NBA players willing to spend 6 weeks representing the country that made them ridiculously rich and famous. There are a multitude of factors. The shine has come off the Dream Team concept. Been there, done that. Guys make so much money now and have outside business interests that they don't have 6 weeks to donate to their country. They'd rather vacation or tend to their business ventures. Plus, this year's World Cup falls 1 year before the Olympics, not the customary 2 years. This year's Cup is a burden. I get it. It makes sense. But there's an additional factor I don't want us to avoid. The culture of the modern NBA has no respect for the very country that produced a sports league that makes millionaires of predominantly black athletes. It's fashionable in the NBA to feign and or exaggerate disdain for America. Popovich and Kerr have greatly contributed to this culture with their divisive, shallow political commentary. They reduced America to its sitting president. And America is and always has been much more than the man residing in the White House. America is its Constitution and the promises contained within it. Pop and Kerr know this, but they've spent the last 3 years pretending one man nullifies the history of a country that embodies freedom, diversity, opportunity, evolution, and equality more than any other. And now Pop and Kerr want to talk about the responsibility of unity.
You know, we can't fix the divisiveness in our country, but what we can do is be a great example of how people come together for a common goal and achieve it.
Well, no. That is the lesson and point of participating in team sports. The reason Popovich has to remind himself, the media, and the players on Team USA of that is because he realizes political agitators have hijacked the sports world and turned football and basketball into polarizing cable news shows. Pop, Kerr, and the NBA need to find a way to disagree with our president without denigrating our country. All right, joining us is Yahoo Sports senior NBA insider Chris Haynes. We'll hear from Darnell in a bit, but Marcellus, we'll start with you. Is the roster deal, the lack of superstars, a team that's led by Kemba Walker, who is their biggest star, Marcus Smart, Miles Turner, Thaddeus Young, Chris Middleton, not a who's who. It's just a bad look for the NBA.
Not at all, unless you ain't did your homework and been watching this damn World Cup over the years. You said it in your Whitlock. You said next year's the Olympics. We know we're going to get the big dogs out there. Well, let's go back to yesteryear when international play was for the amateurs and the business interests were aligned when the Dream Team came about. And then all of a sudden you saw the big name players say, okay, I get you. Let's do it. There was a time where the NBA and the players were on different sides in terms of their business interests. So a lot of players were into brand building. Let's go back to the 80s and the All-Star game and all the ancillary parts of it, the dunk contest, three-point. Like, players were like, yeah, please, please, like volunteering their time to do extra on the game, for the game, because they needed to build themselves up monetarily and also in brand. We're not in that place right now, so let's just get all of that out the way. Looking at the World Cup roster over the years, do y'all remember when Kevin Durant, Kevin Love, Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge all pulled out 1 year? Do y'all remember the next time when LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Bosh, and Dwight Howard all pulled out? Because they're like, this odometer only has so many shots, only so many leaps.
Julius Randle just pulled out.
Okay, we get on. He did.
We're down to
that
Julius
level
Randle.
of player would not be in my notes because the big boy, big boys have always pulled out, and now we're getting to this level. And The thing that it tells me also is these players looked at Paul George when he was practicing for the World Cup. What happened to him? That injury, catastrophic injury. Didn't know if he would return to the greatness that he has. So you add all of that up. My business interests are different. You can get hurt out there. The odometer is saying, hey, save some of this for your primary source of income, which is playing in the NBA. I don't think this is a bad look. I think that, hey, we might have to return back to where we were. Amateurs and lower level players.
I think it's a bad look. I understand why the players are pulling out for this reason alone. Most of the players I've talked to have intentions of playing in the Olympics. But I will say this. I think, this is my own personal opinion, but I really do think what's going on in our country has something to do with the level of players making themselves available for international competition. And I'll say this, I wouldn't be surprised, depending on how 2020 goes, if the players who are saying right now they intend to perform at the Olympics, I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled out, depending on how the election goes.
Would the election come after the Olympics?
It will be after, because the Olympics would be, what, late August or something like that?
Yeah,
election.
But we'll have a great idea of who's leading candidates and who has the momentum going forward. And so, with all that being said, and I get Steve Kerr and Pop, they have their side, and a lot of people denigrate them for taking a stance. I don't, I feel like, they're human. They pay their debts aside like everybody else. They have a right to speak their mind. They just have a public platform. With all that being said, we're divided, and I think now players are saying it's business ventures, it's time with family, it's we want to be acclimated with our teammates for going into next season. But I think next year's excuses will be something totally different.
Well, you going?
Well, I want to follow up on his point, and I want to put it on you, because I agree with Chris. I do think next year the political climate will impact who makes themselves available for Team USA, and that's why I think Pop and Kerr and other older, responsible people need to have some historical perspective of America is more than who's in the White House. It always has been. We've had people of despicable character in the White House before. It's bigger than one person, and it's a mistake to reduce America to one person.
I disagree with both of you guys, because I just think that this is confirmation bias. So whatever your opinion is of the White House right now we're going to lend it to what's happening with the World Cup roster, and then we're saying, see, that's where it goes. That's where they marry. That's not true. I just gave you the list of names from KD to LeBron to Blake Griffin to Kobe, Dwayne Wade.
I know, but Marcellus, we just had two coaches just come out and talk about unity and that this is difficult and things like that. They just have addressed the elephant in the room. They agree with us that, they didn't say it specifically, but by addressing these issues at all, they're acknowledging that the political climate has hurt the enthusiasm for Team USA.
It didn't, because, as I was saying, the list of names that I gave, and it's a laundry list of greats, they opted out when Obama was in office, and we didn't have this political climate, at least the same thought and perception of the White House. So, hold on. If it was good enough for the Stars then, why is it not good enough for the Stars now? All because everyone has their opinion and bias about what's going on in the White House, supporting it or not. You can't find a common denominator there. Two, it skews younger. The World Cup skews younger. Average age is 24. Our stars in today's game are all older than 24, except one All-Star from America. His name is D'Angelo Russell. Every other American All-Star is older than what the average age of this roster is. What happened years ago when Obama was in office is the Stars is like, I'm going to check my watch, and I'm going to check my odometer. This is not the time for me to put this extra mileage on there, especially when next year you're going to have the Olympics. So, look, I understand the White House is sitting there, and it looks like the elephant in the room, but in reality, it's just peanuts, brother. It's not the elephant.
You got to ask Team USA if they think this is just peanuts, because they begging players and telling them and trying to relay that, look, you guys, the facts show, the studies show that you guys have more successful NBA seasons when you participate internationally over the summer for your country. They're still not buying it.
Right.
So this is, we We talk about there was 50 invitations sent out. It should have been 100. Maybe we would have got more of a pool, better Supreme pool. But I'll say this about the climate in which we're at. No matter if you're left or right, whatever it has been. I'm walking with my homeboys, right? We taking a walk down the park. And we walked past this house, and it had a United States flag on it. And when we walked by, my homeboy was like, oh, they a Trump supporter. I'm like, what? That's what it means now? You know, I'm like, that's what it means now? I'm like, okay. Yeah. But in a little bit of way, that's how people define the flag now. Some people. And so you know, Whitlock, you talk about disassociating, you know, playing for the country for who's sitting in the presidency. A lot of people are doing that. And that tripped me out for that little example.
I think we are, look, lane violation, as they say in track and field. You're stepping on the line, brother, and you're actually out your lane. Here's the thing. I play in the NBA. I would not play in the World Cup. Let me just say that if I were this level of basketball. I would not play. I play in the NBA. That's how I make my money. I got to protect myself. Then Olympics. I get it. Representing our country, fine. This is a qualifier that we don't even need. We got to finish top 2 of the 7 teams of the Western Hemisphere to even get in the Olympics. We don't even need this. And there's another qualifier in July. So, of next year. The point is, these players are smart. Respect that they're not so caught up in politics that they're actually smart. I'm not putting this mileage unnecessarily on my body.
Well, Marcellus, you would agree, and I think this is what Chris and I argue. There's a pie. And we're not denying your slice. That part of it is what you're saying. Part of it is like next year is the Olympics. Part of it is blah, blah. But part of it, and this is what Pop and Kerr are trying to get out in front of, is that there's all this divisiveness, and now when you put on a Team USA or associated with flag and representing the country, some people are conveying that as an endorsement of the president, when it really should just be an endorsement of your country, because if you really understand this country, it's so much bigger than one person, regardless of what office they sit in. And the facts of where this country has come from to where it is now should, in my view, make you feel pride and make you feel optimistic that we can do even better. If we can come this far, my God, if we keep pushing the ball forward, even if you think that this current deal is a blip in the road, but that's all it is. It's just a blip in the road. It's not a stop sign, if you believe that. I can't even, again, I try to stay out of politics. I don't vote. I don't get emotional regardless of who's in office because, again, I believe I have a faith in God. I have a faith in the Constitution. And I have a faith in, like, I look at the history and go, well, damn, look where we've gone. It's the Dow Jones. If it keeps going, it keeps going up.
Look, I've stated my case, so we're going to leave that. I'll come over to where you guys are, and I will state this.
Address our slice of the pie.
Get to our slice.
Your slice or your slice? Different
This slice more important.
Hey. You can have pride in something without actively representing it. Now, I've never been called to represent my country, my athletic endeavors. I never was in this position. But let's just talk about the things I have been called to represent. And I still didn't have I have pride, but not actively representing it. I have pride in where I'm from. I have pride in what I represent. Compton and South Central and all that.
All part of the USA.
Right. But then when someone says represent that and actively do it, that takes on a different complexion. And that also mentally, for those who are seeing me come, seeing the American flag come, do you want to actively represent that? Because maybe you're embarrassed. Maybe you're not so caught up in the good, but you're like, there are issues and warts with it.
Is that what Muhammad Ali went through?
Right. So I think that the players maybe
he fought for America in the Olympics, Muhammad Ali, but go ahead.
No, I get you. I get what you're saying. But at the same time, he didn't always actively represent.
He won the gold medal.
Hey, there's supposed to be a great documentary coming up as well on Muhammad Ali.
But anyway.
Yeah. You get my point.
Right, I get your point. All right, Darnell, any slice of the pie that we missed?
Ain't nothing left.
Man, so it's I know Chris kind of touched on this not too long ago, but so after 2 more, mass shootings happened this weekend, Steve Kerr tweeted out this popular meme about gun control in the U.S. So I want to ask you guys, do you like Kerr adding his opinion to this sensitive issue?
I don't have a problem with him weighing in. I don't like the way he weighed in. I think there's a false equivalency here, and this is very popular. he talks about the wall, and it says,